bakit ko siya ginagawa? Bakit ko ginagaya yung aesthetic ng idol ko? Why am I hiding? And instead of getting to know myself or finding answers to my questions, why am I doing these things? Why do I prefer to hide behind a mask?
Hi, I'm Philline, a teacher, leader, and lifelong learner. Welcome to Philline the Blanks, a space to pause and make sense of life's in-betweens, where purpose, meet patience, and clarity is found in reflection. So take a breath and let's fill in the blanks together.
Let's be real for a second. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and realized that your outfit and the ones in your closet look suspiciously a lot like your bias? It's not like you meant to look like a member of a K-pop or a P-pop band today, but here we are wearing an oversized blazer, maybe some chains, maybe leather shoes that has like big chunky heels. And honestly, you're not even mad about it. You actually like it. But it's not just the clothes, right? Maybe you've caught yourself using a specific phrase or even a prayer or even a piece of advice that you heard in a podcast at 2 a.m. when you are supposed to be sleeping. And it's okay because it's something that you actually believe in. And we call it the idol effect. I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard about this, but there are phases in our lives where we also look at it in a perspective that, well, I don't mind using his words because I believe in it. I don't mind being associated with those sets of artists. We tell ourselves we're just supporting an artist, we're just streaming their music, and we're just buying their merch. But slowly, without us noticing, their aesthetic becomes our mirror and their values become our compass. They aren't just on our playlists anymore. They are part of our decision-making process. So today, we are going to dig into the truth that fandom isn't just about the music. It's about the silent transformation of fashion and faith. So I have to ask you, when the concert ends and your light sticks go off, is the person left in the mirror still you? Or have you become a more beautiful, curated collage of your bias? Meaning the people you admire or the people you look up to, regardless of their stature in life. But for the most part, these are normally the people that we listen to, we watch, and we follow. So let's talk about it. And welcome back to Filling the Blanks. To start with, let's talk about the aesthetic of belonging. Let's talk about clothes first. Why do we want to dress like them? I mean, okay, let's be honest. They look incredible. No kidding. They have stylists, right? Who help them dress up. Some of them have good fashion sense and, they can actually pull off certain combinations that we've never thought of or maybe feeling natin hindi bagay but yeah, pwede pala. So it's pretty good. As for me, I had that phase. Yes, there are times that I would still dress like my favorite artist at a certain period of time, but I don't normally deviate too far away from the style that I'm used to or the looks that I'm used to. Of course, I have different looks. Meron for work, depending on what kind of meetings, may day-to-day, may for board meetings, corporate. Meron din yung laid-back Fridays, right? When there are dress codes that are more relaxed. There are times where I also have that ugly day, meaning hindi masyadong nakaporma, basic clothing, what you got in your closet, staples. And even with footwear, if I'm lazy to tie my shoelace, of course, I'm not gonna wear sneakers. Or maybe if I feel like it's kind of hot, I'm not gonna wear leather shoes. I would probably opt for sandals that are acceptable in different kinds of settings. If I'm on my regular Saturday or Sunday, then I could probably do away with the slide-on sandals, right? So yeah. So going back to following fashion, of course, these artists would have stylists whose entire job is to make them look like they just stepped out of a dream. Parang sa ano lang na slow-mo sa K-drama when they enter the room. If this is concert, diba? Yung pasabog na entrance every time that they change their set of clothes that they're wearing on stage. But for us, it's deeper than looking cool. It's about identity signaling. So when you put that oversized denim jacket or maybe a specific silver chain on your pants, or maybe your bag, or maybe you've suddenly decided that wearing a beret is your personality right now, then you are not just wearing a fabric. You are wearing a signal. It's like a secret handshake that says, I belong to this community. So recently, to share with you, I attended the biggest P-pop concert in the country, and I follow them together with other bands and artists here in the Philippines and in different parts of the world. Because for one, sa akin nagsisimula yan sa oh, I like the lyrics of the song because I'm a lyrics girl pag sa music. Kapag sa movies or series, I would look at the storyline, of course, the plot, and also I listen intently to the words that are being used dun sa mga series na yon at movies na yon. And if it resonates with me, even if I am not in that situation, then I actually consume that content. So I am a consumer of digital and offline content that are related to entertainment. So, ba't ko siya nakwento? When you go to that specific concert na malaki na yung fandom, there are also biases involved. So, there are people na, okay, I like all of them, but I like this person better when it comes to this person better when it comes to this, etc., etc. So, I got to be a part of one of the groups that had a shuttle service going there. So we had a free shuttle service from the hub that we belong to. So some of us won seats there and we were able to bond. And of course, marami sa amin magkakakilala na virtually but not face-to-face. So yung iba, first time talaga makikita yun. What happened was when I got to the meeting place, because it's close to my house, I wasn't even looking at faces. I was looking at signs. Na parang, okay, keychain ni person A in her bag, outfit ni person B coming in. May sign din yan kung sino yung bias niya, at least for that specific activity. So, sometimes it's a closing of the entire group, diba? So, kita mo na, okay, sila yung kasama ko. Just a matter of, am I in the right bus, in the right lane? Am I with the right group of people, right? So, it was easy. And when you see someone else with that same aesthetic, even outside that kind of event, alam mo din oh, it's part of this fandom. Or, ay, yung bias niya, bias ko din. So, there's that belongingness there. So, to name a few fandoms, diba? 18 yan. Ay, Juanista yan, diba? Or, say, popsters. So, may mga ganyan. Madali siyang ma-recognize if you are part of that community. So, now, let's have a real talk moment. Have you ever looked at your closet at some point in your life and realized na this is not me anymore? If you experiment or you were unaware that you are experimenting already because of the influence of the people that you follow, the artists that you follow. That has happened to me and many people that I know. And minsan awkward talaga di ba? For example, there are people who don't really wear loud colors but suddenly their bias decided to wear neon green Crocs or maybe hot pink shirt and you suddenly see one in your closet na parang naligaw. Tapos lahat ng damit ko parang nasa neutral colors lang. Like what I'm wearing right now. So, nagtataka ka din, saan ko ito nakuha? Or, susunod ka ba? Ay, gusto siya ng artist ko, I'm gonna buy one. I'll make an exception para yung closet ko may ibang kulay, ba? Is it a vibe? Okay lang. Don't get me wrong, That's perfectly fine if you want to experiment. Walang problema. Maybe you found a new style or maybe you're in that phase in your life that you are changing your preferences. That happens to all of us. But you have to ask yourself if dressing like them still feels more like us or is it becoming a mask, diba? Are you becoming bolder by trying out new things or is it becoming a mask? So that's another reality check, right? Okay, so next would be if you are feeling like you're hiding, you also have to ask yourself na bakit ko siya ginagawa? Bakit ko ginagaya yung aesthetic ng idol ko? Why am I hiding? And instead of getting to know myself or finding answers to my questions, why am I doing these things? Why do I prefer to hide behind a mask? I mean, it's fun to play dress up, but we have to make sure that we are not losing ourselves in doing so. So underneath the merchandise, underneath everything else that's happening, ako ba to? So I'm not saying that you stop buying the jackets or whatnot. I'm not saying that you shouldn't experiment or you shouldn't imitate. If it's something that is your thing, that's certain activities, why not? What I'm trying to say is that you have to check if you actually like what you are purchasing or you just like the person wearing it on the photo card. Let's say may jacket or itong suot ko. This is a boho, may mga ganito-ganito, di ba? Initially, I was looking at this because I needed to purchase a sort of costume for a get-together. Tapos, ayokong bumili ng sobrang loud kasi nga, baka hindi ko magamit ulit. Even if it's not expensive. Meaning, ano lang siya, 300 pesos, 200 pesos na gamitin ko once or twice. I can give it away, hand it down to someone who needs it, or maybe sell it at a lower price. Thrift shop, diba? But I wanted to buy something na parang gagamitin ko naman siya, even if not as often, but on occasions where I would need something similar. Okay lang siyang nasa closet ko kasi magagamit ko siya ulit, diba? So, yun siya. May mga iba kasi akong nabili before na pagkatas ko siya gamitin doon, ayoko na siya. It ended up collecting dust. Eventually, dahil may mga kaibigan akong mahilig mag-let go, mag-declutter, napapasama siya na parang what I do is I donate it kasi yung nabibenta namin doon, yung proceeds, we donate it sa mga foundation. So, nakakatulong pa siya. Hindi na zero, diba? And that's if you have extra money. But if hindi rin naman ganun kalaki yung extra money mo to actually splurge on such fashion na ang dami mong bibiling mga gamit, damit, merch, why would you do it? Yun lagi yung tanong, diba? That's where I am at, giving. Okay. So, andito na tayo, diba? So now, I want to discuss our spiritual blueprint. This is your accountability to yourself and to the creator above. I'm not even talking about religion. This is about faith, your value system. So, for example, I already mentioned, diba? Groups like SP19, the Juans, Bini, who else? G22, Be First, 17, and many more. They don't just give us bops. They give us the blueprint of how to live. They talk about grit, humility, keeping the faith when things get dark. That's their story. That's how they are marketed. There are groups with backers because they are coming from big entertainment companies. So, meron na silang na-build na system on how to market their idols. There are people who came from nothing and relied on their talent and a few people who believe in them until they grew and grew and grew and eventually are able to invest in themselves. So, iba-iba sila kwento. Nonetheless, it's all right? And also God's provision if they are meant to be in that position. So, tayong mga fans, we tend to weave those values into our own spiritual lives. We adopt their discipline, we mirror their gratitude. We feel like we are with them when we actually follow them and we actually were able to grow with them and be with them from the start until nung nagkapangalan sila. Or maybe mas later time ka, nakita mo pa rin kung paano nag-iba yung kwento ng buhay nila. Especially those who actually flourished during the pandemic or hit a roadblock during that time because that was unprecedented for everyone in the world. So, moving to those kinds of things, walang problema doon if we mirror those things, diba? But there is a thin line between becoming inspired by someone's faith and outsourcing your soul to them. If they are the only reason why you feel spiritual, what happens when the music stops? So, let's go to the real talk, the parasocial heartbreak. We have to talk about the what if. And I know, we don't want to get there. We don't like it, right? Nobody wants it, diba? Especially if it's going towards the not so nice parts, right? We want to believe that our faves are bulletproof. We want to believe that they are an exception to the rule or to the reality of life. But what happens if the person you modeled your life after makes a mistake? When they do something or say something that clashes with the very values and the faith that they actually taught you. It feels like betrayal, doesn't it? Bigla ka na lang, oh, I don't like their music anymore. Diba? Ayoko na sa kanila. It hits deeper. It's like the piece of your own identity getting questioned. It's breaking because you get tied to it. And you had an illusion na perfect sila. We've all been there. It doesn't have to be a big idol. It could be your teacher at school, could be your boss at work, maybe a best friend, maybe a family mentor, your mom, your dad. So, mahirap, di ba? So, example, mabalik tayo sa pagiging part ng fandom. May mga taong invested enough to spend so much time in protecting and defending their idols. X-Wars, diba? Nagsasagutan. Minsan nga nag-intercountry yan. There's a recent incident in that context, no? That was between two countries, excluding the Philippines, but eventually nadamay na rin yung mga Pilipino dahil nagkaroon ng sagutan na naging personal attacks na, no? So, nagkasalihan na. Naging ASEAN na yung Twitter wars, no? Or X wars. But, it's reality. We defend them on our X threads on Instagram. You've bought their merch. You've told your parents, Mom, look at them. These people I'm following, my idols. They're such good role models. And boom, biglang headline drops. May video na nag-resurface or may photos emerging na, oh, this idol, nagbabasag ulo pala. Or this idol, say, being marketed as a person with no vices, tapos nakita may hawak na alcohol. Mga ganon. Could be those things. That's why I've discussed it before in my previous episodes na it's important not to idolize anybody but God because everyone else are humans. They're not perfect. Also, if you idolize certain things, you are materialistic maybe, or you're idolizing your career, what if that's gone? Sino ka na? Ano ka na? What is your identity? That could be your bondage, right? So, minsan, mababalik ka na lang sa napapaupo ka na lang sa isang tabi na, ano nangyari? You have so many questions in your head na parang, hala, suddenly you're lost. So that's the danger of putting someone or some people in the pedestal. When we turn our idols into a spiritual blueprint, we forget that they are working with a human set of tools. They're prone to the same glitches that we are. And when that idol falls, we feel this weird pressure to fall with them. Or worse, we have to lie to ourselves to keep the pedestal standing. But here's the truth I want you to hear. You don't have to throw away the growth just because the messenger stumbled. At the end of the day, it's not about the message, it's about the message. And that message is aligned with the values of your creator. If these people taught you how to be brave, to face the battles that you are going through head on and not run away from it, that is the message. You are still brave by doing that or following them. Hindi dahil nagkamali sila or nagfall sila, lain na rin yung pagiging brave mo. Diba? If they inspired you to be more prayerful, to be kinder, to be a better version of you, then that's still true. It no longer belongs to them. That is already yours. We need to learn how to keep the lesson even if we lose the teacher. That is the most important thing to remember. Your faith and your values are your foundation. Don't build them on someone else's stage. Build them on your own ground with strong foundation. Because these people might have seasons in their career, but your character should not depend on their PR. Now, in curating yourself, I want you to try to do this challenge for the next week. I want you to take a good look at your own idol effect. And look at the clothes in your closet. Look at the values you have been posting about on your platforms or maybe sharing in private messenger groups or DMs. Because I know that there are people who are now on their zero post era. So they prefer sharing things privately with their good set of friends. Some people just save posts for their own consumption. At the end of the day, whatever it is that you do on social media, ask yourself, who am I doing this for? For one, fashion, walang problema. That's a playground. A lot of people are being creative in this particular arena. A lot of people use this as their self-expression, and that's perfectly fine. It's fun to experiment with someone else's style. If you see something that you might like, bagay kaya sa akin to, I want to try it out. That's why you can go to the mall, get the items that you want to try, punta ka sa fitting room, subukan mo. Walk around, see if you're comfortable. Ako, particular ako with that. Even if it looks good on me, if I can't move for dear life or I am so conscious about it, I would think twice before I buy it, right? Maybe bangko ko muna siya, walk around, or maybe balikan ko next week. In another week, kung gusto ko talaga siya, tsaka ko siya bibilhin, diba? So, by experimenting, you see what fits. Hindi mo kailangan ipilit, diba? And yes, you can get feedback from the people you trust, people that maybe know your style and see na parang, ikaw pa rin yan. Diba? It's still within your, diba? You don't want to deviate from it. Or if you want to change it up, right? There are people you could actually consult, diba? Aside from the professionals, but the people who know you best. And as for faith, maraming tao na they look for inspiration to get them back on track kasi nalalost sila because of many things that are happening right now in the world. That could be just a line, right? From a book. That could be from a movie. That could be from a song. That could be from a life story of someone that you've heard of on the digital space. Okay, if that artist help you find your way back, help you remind yourself that these are your spiritual truths, or taught you how to become more resilient, that's a gift. Take it. It's a beautiful thing to be moved by another human being. I myself get moved by different human beings that pass through my life, right? Some are just there for a season, some are there for the long haul. Nonetheless, may mga purpose din sa buhay mo. Some to teach you a lesson, some to help you grow, some to just be, right? So recently I had that kind of experience. Different sets of people, but I'm gonna share one. There is a person I closely work with that served as more of like an inspiration to me in terms of how to be a good mentor. Aside from the principles, I learned that there is beauty in choosing the right words. Not because you're trying to filter or trying to hide things, but to deliver the right message. Yung pag-iisipan mo muna bago mo sabihin. Kahit na naghihintay yung kaharap mo na when you're talking, bagalan mo, isipin mo, ano ba yung tamang word? Ano ba yung mas applicable word for this? Kung hindi mo makuha, teka lang, hanapin ko yung right word, right? Because you're trying to reach someone. And I was being taught that way. And it was a two-way learning because that mentor also asked me certain things. I can safely say, may natutunan din siya sa akin. And that's a very good dynamic, especially if you are working closely together within a team or within a group, right? Another value I learned is how to keep calm when things are in chaos. Yes, I have been learning this for many years because I'm quite impatient, but to actually see it applied live, even on instances where you can just explode, right? It's different. And I believe I am also at that point in my life where I understand what it means already. It's no longer superficial. Because I've had leaders and mentors who actually practice the same things. But maybe I wasn't ready to get that kind of message yet. Or minsan lang, at a certain time, okay, keep calm, pero bukas. Or pag tumaas na yung level na stress, anxiety, ng mess, wala na ulit yung natutunan mo, di ba? And then you go back again from your default setting. So I still catch myself sometimes, getting so frustrated, probably rant a bit. But I am constantly reminded in my head, keep calm, think before you act, and assess the situation if you have to react. Because you don't have to react to everything. There is value in silence. So yeah, that's quite a powerful learning for me for this year. Also, I have to say this, above all else, more importantly, you have to make sure that when you are curating yourself, you are the one doing the curation and not other people trying to curate or manipulate you. Why did I add the manipulation word in that context? No? It's because people of value in your life has a higher level of influence, right? And that influence can be a tool for you to be manipulated also if there's an intention to that. Minsan wala, talagang nangyayari na lang kasi sobrang na-idolize mo yung tao. But I'm just warning you of the dangers na baka maging photocopy ka of someone else. And photocopies, as we know, even if technology is good right now, they're still kind of blurry copies of the original. There's still a difference. And the world doesn't need another version of your bias, right? We already have them, right? Be a collage maybe of multiple people that you admire. And ikaw pa rin, diba? Maybe a better version of you. Not maybe. A better better version of you, right? So maybe being a collage is intentional, messy, vibrant, and it's made of 100 different pieces that you chose to put together. No problem, right? Becomes unique. As what my mentor told me recently, innovation is copying something and improving it. So, walang mali kung kakopya ka at gusto mong maging better yung kinopya mo. Okay lang yun. Hindi naman kailangan lahat ng idea original mo. And of course, you can take the threads of inspiration they gave you, but weave them into a life that is uniquely and unapologetically yours. Because at the end of the day, the idols will have their comebacks. The idols will have their world tours. But you are the most important project you will ever work on. You are the CEO of your own identity. Don't just live in someone else's light. Use it to find your own. Diba? Yung light na shine nila sa daan, sige, let it guide you. So thanks for filling in the blanks with me today. I'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to Filling the Blanks. If today's conversation spoke to you, share it with someone who might need it too. Follow the show on Spotify or YouTube and join me again as we continue to fill in the blanks, one story at a time.